of the people in that culture.
That's true. Although I'm in the camp where I think we've gotten to a level of information and knowledge of who we are. Well, here in the Western world, there were still lots of groups of people who were kept in the dark. I think that would be willing to accept this had the current social and economic paradigm come to a halt, because the reason we can't accept these ideas and that most people believe that there is a comic element to all of this is because the media is under an agenda to portray it as such, because of, the powers that be, whoever they are, controlling the puppet masters, want to keep the ball rolling and the wheel greased and the oil machine churning, and in effect really keeps us in a box like rats when it comes to expanding consciousness. I think if we were able to tear down those walls a little bit, like many of us in the upcoming generations are looking into, I think it's a possibility in the future. But as for the time being, right now in the present, I would probably have to side with you, and it's very sad and disappointing.
Yes, we do not speak for the whole world.
Right.
And there are certainly many levels of technological development throughout the world, many levels of educational experience and understanding. And so we, as technologically advanced Western culture, can't speak for the world. We can't say that although it won't impact some of us, it's fine to do this to the entire world.
Exactly. You hit the head right on the top of the nail there. I don't want to keep any longer, Kathy. I know you're extremely busy. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend time here on Atlantic Canada's only paranormal radio broadcast and help the people in the area here and beyond, because we're on YouTube, MySpace, Blogspot as well. Understand who you are and what your mission is here and how to expand our minds. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's truly been a pleasure.
Well, Kathy Marden was here with us, a social scientist, lecturer, author, truth seeker, active participant in the expansion of consciousness, and all-around lovely lady. Thank you for being here. Good night, Kathy.
Good night.
Well, she certainly is a productive lady. She's out there in the field, and she's making things happen. She's writing books, and to have Stanton T. Friedman on your side, you can't go wrong there. So Stanton T. Friedman and Kathleen Marden, congratulations on Abducted, of course. The book is a couple years old, but on the new book as well, 2010's Science Was Wrong. Discoveries that they, quote-unquote, said were impossible. So congratulations to Kathy and Stanton on that. All the best successes in the world to you. I can't wait to pick up a copy of Abducted, even though I intricately know the story of Betty and Barney Hill. I don't have that copy or that version directly from the family's perspective and point of view and mouth. So I'd like to have that from my ever-growing library here at home of UFO literature and paranormal stuff therein. So I hope you all enjoyed that interview. I think it was fantastic. Kathy's just a wonderful person, and she's out there making things happen, because in this life, you've got to make things happen. This is the time frame that all things are coming to a head. Everything is changing, and consciousness itself is being molded and changed in order to adapt and evolve into the future, being forced by environmental changes, social changes, political changes, and the collapse of capitalism. So we always have to be on guard and ready to make progressive change and be on the move. Although quantum physics is letting us know now that intention is just as strong as action. And in many respects even stronger. Like the rock in the pond, the ripple goes from the center out and hits everything throughout the universe. So just take action and think and read, but take part in the physical realm also. Double your impact. So I want to say thanks to Kathleen Marden. It was a fantastic pleasure. I'd love to have you on again. Best of luck to you. All right, coming up after a short break, we're going to jump into the calendar of the paranormal with another amazing lady that we met today at 2 by Sea, a local Dartmouth hotspot cafe. They make some fantastic stuff, some delicious coffees, fair trade and organic, and everything's made from scratch there. We like to promote local community business because that's the future of the world, community. We got to stick together. So stick around on the Unified Field right here on CKDU 88.1 FM. I'm your host, Mr. Justin Brown, on Atlantic Canada's only paranormal radio broadcast.
You are listening to the Unified Field.
Tune into Radio Numerica every week to count down CKDU's Top 30. Radio Numerica airs Mondays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. on CKDU 88.1 FM or online at ckdu.ca.
Spaceships, aliens, Bigfoot, and more. You're listening to the Unified Field with my dad, Mr. Justin Brown.
Welcome back to the Unified Field. We're running real short on time. This is Shoo Shoo 3. And this track's called Hives, Hives, off the Knife Play record. So check it out for a minute.
Into the dark.
Good stuff. You only get the good stuff here on Unified Field. I'm your host, Mr. Justin Brown. Welcome back to the program. Let's get right to it. We'll jump right into the calendar of the paranormal because we're short on time. Here we go.
This is Sylvia Richards with Calendar of the Paranormal.
Welcome to the Calendar of the Paranormal. We have a really special segment for you this time on the Unified Field because we're here at 2F a local Java joint here in Dartmouth. And here on the Unified Field, we like to promote local business and keep the community sewn tightly together. We thought it'd be fun to meet in person this time, Sylvia and I, to do our Calendar of the Paranormal segment. Tarot reader, spiritual counselor, ordained minister of the Universal Life Church, lecturer, teacher of spiritual development, healer, as she's a level 3 therapeutic touch practitioner and a Reiki master. And she's here with us from 2F Welcome, Sylvia.
Well, hi, Justin. It's really good to be here.
Well, I understand you have some really special stuff for us today, and I have to tell everyone out in Radio Land, I'm going to apologize in advance, because normally we do Calendar of the Paranormal on the day of the airing of the show, specific to history, in regards to the paranormal, but where I've been away for a few weeks, my correspondence has been a little bit lacking. I tried to cover my tracks by telling you, Sylvia, that my internet connection's bunk, and I'm working on those issues. But here we are. We're going to talk about a story specific to September in the past. Are we correct on that one?
That's correct. I just didn't know the specific date, but it did happen in September.
All right. Well, I'm really excited.
Okay, well, today's story is about a horse called Snippy, whose gruesome death left us with a mystery that seems to have only one explanation, as unbelievable as that may be. Come back in time with me now to September of 1967 in Colorado's San Luis Valley and the first recorded case of alien animal mutilation.
My favorite.
Okay. So Snippy, a 3-year-old Appaloosa, whose real name was Lady, it was the press that changed it to Snippy, lived on the Harry King Ranch near Alamosa in Colorado. On the evening of the September 7th, 1967, Snippy was released into the pasture as usual. But Harry King and his mother Agnes noticed that when she didn't turn up for her drink the next morning. In fact, she wasn't seen all day. When she failed to appear again the next day, Harry searched the area and found Snippy dead about 1/4 of a mile from the house. She was a terrible sight. Her neck had been cut as if with a knife all the way round down to the bone, and all the skin and flesh from the shoulders to the ears had been cleanly stripped off. Nothing remained of the head but the skull. Snippy's internal organs were missing, the stomach cavity was empty, and the body was drained of blood, spinal fluid and brain tissue. A formaldehyde-like odour hung around the animal for several days. The neck bones and skull were stark white, as if they'd been bleached. The vet who did the post-mortem said that small animals must have burrowed into the carcass and eaten the organs, and that the fluids had evaporated despite the chilly weather. But there was no evidence of scavengers, and the notion that they would eat only the head and neck made no sense.
Okay, hold on. Let me interject for a second. All of you out in Radioland, yes, we are at 2F by C, but we've managed to tuck ourselves into the corner away of earshot of everyone eating the delicious goods here.
It's a fantastic atmosphere.
All right, sorry about that, Sylvia.
That's okay. Remarkably, there were no tracks, not even snippies, within 100 feet. Further away, tracks showed that 2 other horses had been running with Snippy, then veered off. Snippy's tracks continued a short way, then stopped 100 feet from her body. There was no blood, none at all, but some strange dark spots and 6 identical holes, each 2 inches wide and 4 inches deep, forming a 3-foot diameter circle, were found in the ground nearby. In several 15-feet diameter areas, the brush had been squashed to within 10 inches from the ground, and 2 bushes had been flattened. A bit of Snippy's mane clung to one of them. The next day, Harry returned to the scene with Nellie Lewis, the horse's owner, and her husband Burl. When Mrs. Lewis picked up a bit of Snippy's mane, with a bit of flesh attached, told you it was gruesome, it oozed a greenish fluid that burned her hand. They found 15 tapering circular exhaust marks punched into the ground over some 5,000 square yards, and they noticed a strange incense-like smell. The larger markings made a circle 75 feet in diameter. Later, Mrs. Lewis would say that her boots were found to be radioactive. She became convinced that extraterrestrials had killed Snippy. Indeed, there had been recent UFO sightings in the area. 87-year-old Agnes King said that even though her eyesight was poor, she had seen something pass over the ranch house on September the 7th. U.S. Forest Service sent Ranger Dwayne Martin to investigate. He checked the area with a Geiger counter and reported a considerable increase in radioactivity about 2 blocks from the body. On September 16th, Mrs. Lewis found what she presumed to be a tool at the site. When she tried to wipe off the horsehair that covered it, her hand turned red and began to burn. The burning persisted until she washed them. Mrs. Lewis's account of Snippy's strange death was published in the Pueblo Chieftain and picked up by the Associated Press. Soon, most of the country knew the tale, and within a month, Snippy's death made news across the world. Reports of the UFOs were made by other people in Colorado, including Superior Court Judge Charles E. Bennett of Denver, who said that he and his wife had seen 3 red-orange rings in the sky moving at high speed in a triangular formation with a humming sound. More and more people speculated that UFOs were somehow involved. A Denver pathologist who performed an autopsy confirmed the original findings but insisted on anonymity. A second post-mortem revealed indications that the neck had been incised. Where he expected to find fluid, the doctor found the brain cavity empty, then opened the stomach expecting to see remains of digestive organs but found only a little powdery residue. Dr. John Alshula, a medical hematologist and pathologist who happened to be in the area at the time, also looked at Snippy. I could see that it was also cut from the neck down to the base of the chest in a vertical clean incision. He noted the surgical precision of the cuts and that the edges were darkened and the skin firm, as if the flesh had been cauterized as with a modern laser. But there was no such technology in 1967. Today we cauterize to control bleeding, but the flesh is still soft and pliable. The edges of that cut were stiff, leathery and hard. Under a microscope, tissue samples showed discoloration and destruction at cell level, consistent with changes caused by burning. There was no technology in 1967 that could produce these effects. What Dr. Alshuser found most amazing was the lack of blood in or around the horse.